Hi, regular EV Dad. John here. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Time for another GreenGlow Chat, albeit without the green glow of an Electrify America installation, but no less green. This is a joint venture charger with ChargePoint and Pacific Power with 4 tritium 62.5 kilowatt chargers here in downtown Klamath Falls, Oregon. This is separate to him, but I'm guessing that by the time I finish editing it, half of this rant will be in the trip video coming from San Jose up to Klamath, and I'm going to dwell. Not only am I going to dwell, there may be rants and tangents, so get a coffee. I have mine. Best part about road tripping through Northern California and Oregon is the Dutch brothers. I'm sure that an Annihilator isn't good for you, but god damn it tastes good. As you're well aware with the video and the content I put out, I'm all about planning and execute. Good plans, good execution. There's no such thing as too much planning if you get a good result in the end. And I take these things seriously. And yesterday's trip was the first time I've brought the kid with me, London, and the dog, our Airedale, our Gambler. And he fits comfortably in his 400 crate in the trunk, and I'm sure there's a video I'll put up about doing that. We did great. I got EV notifying a better route planning running on the LG Wing here to give me as close to a Tesla, predicted arrival number as possible, because this is a deficiency of the Volkswagen sat-nav system, which tells me apparently rather than just heading straight, driving for 2.5 hours and pulling into a 150 kilowatt charger, apparently I want to spend an hour connected to a 50 kilowatt charger 20 miles to the south of it. But I digress. Pulled into Anderson, into the Electrify America at Anderson at I'll put up the charging information, but from memory it was just after 20 past 8 at night. And at that point we were on schedule. We'd made a 10-minute pit stop beforehand. I had questions about, coming in at 3%, how accurate that was going to be. I'm all for doing something stupid, but 3% was cutting it fine, given that we don't know. I mean, this is a new car, so it should be zero degradation, but that's not somewhere you want to run out of juice with a kid and a dog at that time of night. So, and the interesting thing is, the dog needed to pee and I needed to pee. And I think most of my, the long road trips are going to be the battle of batteries and bladders. Which one's going to give out first? And me and the dog shared a tree because there's no COVID-friendly toilet facilities at the Berry Pit EV Go charger that we used. And we only plugged in for 9 minutes, but we got in with plenty of charge to spare. I digress. I did warn you. So when we get to Safeway, we plug in. The first head was this charger number 2, and I went on to PlugShare as we were approaching and looked when the last good charges were, and in recent days number 2's been fine. There's a Taycan plugged into it and it was pulling 150. Great. Plugged in. Head number 1 didn't initialize. In fact, it said it wouldn't process payment. Head number 2 on unit number 2 plugged in, and I actually got the NFC to work, and I think that's fantastic. I'm not saying that swiping's difficult, but again, now just build that into the Google Pay app, and I'll be the same as you did with the Apple Pay. Awesome. All about simplification. Plug and play would be better, but you know, baby steps. Charged up to 52%. Charging curve was great, I think, and this is where it's interesting, because the Electrify America unit was saying 106. I'm sorry, I have to do this in European numbers because EV Notify only does Celsius on my setup. But the battery was at 30 Celsius, and so it was good, but it was 87 outside, so possibly too good, too hot. And we had but the BMS was reporting 120 odd kilowatts, but the machine was saying 106. But anyway, charging's going fine. At 52%, there is an error and it cuts out. Now we have to remember that Volkswagen and Electrify America are separate companies. If you've driven a Tesla, your expectation is you have that single point. In my trade, we call it one throat to choke. The head wouldn't release. Now I had this happen wherever it was, and it was a very quick, she rebooted, it released, we're all good, remotely. Well, this time, he went through his checklist, I did everything, turning the car off, turning it back on, pressing the open button 3 times rapidly. We have a red failure light. The car is still communicating with a dead, from what we can tell, with a dead unit, and it will not release. The light is red, and the car won't release. At which point, only thing the guy from Electrify America can say is, turn to page 26 of your owner's manual. Now, I've gone to page 26 of the owner's manual. It's got nothing to do with releasing the CCS. And he says, you'll have to Google it. You'll have to find it yourself, which I'm fine with, to find the manual release. Except I've got a dog in there, and I've now put my back out because I had to lift the dog and his crate out all at once to try and get access to it. In the process, and this took 30 minutes and change, in the process, at some point the car gave up, and I heard the car go chunk. I could have been a Foley artist. I ran over and I pulled the car, I pulled it out, and then we plugged it back in. Now, this is my point. There is too much separation, not enough integration between these platforms. The fact that this car is released without plug and play is crazy when you're wanting to get people to buy this instead of a RAV4, because you don't need an app to buy gas. The fact that, you know, and I appreciate Electrify America have to support multiple vehicles, but there needs to be more standardization. I was this close, having pulled the dog out, to having to remove the sidewall, apparently, the trim, to get access to some toggles. Now, because I'm me, and because we've got this big road trip to New York coming up, later on today, when it cools off tonight, I'm actually going to find out how to do this, and there will be a video about it, so that the next poor son of a bitch like me can Google CCS release and know how to do it. I have learned many things over the years, from how to repair RVs to electrical things to, I don't know, inseminating pigs. Yeah, that's a real thing. You can learn off YouTube to find the best techniques. Knowing how to do it is one thing, knowing how to do it well is another. I do cover some topics. But that needs to exist, so I will create that so that the next regular EV dad or mom can do this. I had a 5-year-old, you know, 4.5-year-old in the back seat. Sorry about this, but you know, she had an accident because I couldn't get her into the store and do this, because my car is hooked up. I got stuck. I created the situation. I own it. But the lack of integration, the lack of knowledge on either side of the phone, it's fine for me. I will survive. But this type of thing is going to stall out and stop people replacing their RAV4s and their regular cars with this. And it's a pity. So VW has a responsibility in this. I had the same issue when I got to Weed, and nothing to do with the situation with Electrify America or Volkswagen. Because of that delay, because it was taking so long, it was getting so late, we were going to get into Klamath too late and disturb other people. And that's not something we want to do in this particular situation. And so I booked a motel, just a Motel 6. When you're traveling with kids and dogs, Motel 6 are awesome. Trust me, I've stayed at many of the finest hotels in the world. My side gig allows me to use to travel, and oh, I love it. It's wonderful. However, Motel 6 is great. I booked the one here in Klamath, and 20 minutes later, while I'm driving on 5, they called me and cancelled me because they'd overbooked. Which has never happened to me on Motel 6 before, but it is what it is. So I pulled in at Weed. I didn't need to charge, but then I also didn't know where I was going to go. I might have to go to Wairika because it's busy. Everyone's traveling right now. Lots of people heading to Bend and Medford and everywhere else. So I pulled into charge just to charge, just so I gave myself options. That native planner, of mine is alive and well. But when I got to and we ended up staying in Weed itself, but then we didn't have to charge to get here this morning, so that was fine. But it wouldn't release again, and I'm doing this open, car off. It's not enough to tell the system to stop. You have to press stop charge in the vehicle. This wasn't an option, I hasten to add. When the unit went bad, this wasn't an option because it was trying to communicate and wasn't getting an answer, and I couldn't stop it. The timeout is clearly somewhere in the region of 20 minutes. But who wants to sit with the charging screen on all the time and know these things? This isn't intuitive. And at this point, having had this issue once that night, friggin' scary. I mean, not because I was scared, but just the whole, my kid, the dog, where are we going to sleep? Are we going to be sleeping? Explaining this one to AAA would take some doing. Anyway, we got here. We had a great drive from Weed into Klamath, Oregon. It's beautiful. It's sunny. It's not too hot. It's 77 right now in the middle of the day. It was a cool morning. The evening will be relatively cool as well. We're getting a good charge. We're going to go get some groceries. And hopefully the trip home will be a lot simpler. Sadly, the trip to San Diego had to be canceled because a thing came up. But that just means in 2 and a bit weeks, we head to New York. Anyway, you have yourself a great day. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Like this video, share this as much as you can. Because the more we get this information out there, the more Volkswagen gets to know about the issues so they can address them and produce a better product. You have yourselves a great day.